Who is having a worse season this year, the Oregon State Beavers or the Penn State Nittany Lions? And without a drop, he said Penn State by far. James Franklin and Penn State lose to UCLA 42-37 in LA in a game that honestly wasn't that close. Penn State made a second-half surge, but they were down 27-7 at halftime.
Yeah, I was at FanFest, and I went, I'm doing, pregame stuff and get set up in media, and I go, what?
Yeah, I was watching Texas, Florida at that time, and I looked over at it because I was like, I'm not going to watch Penn State, UCLA. I don't have the bandwidth for this. I'll check the box score later and see what the hell's going on. And I'm with you. I saw that, and the best part is Danny texts me. What did you text me? What did you say about James Franklin after they lose an insanely embarrassing, the worst loss in the history of Penn State?
I take back all the nice things I said about Franklin.
And my answer was, bye. To borrow a phrase from you. This is a bad situation here in Penn State. We're going to get into Texas as well later on, but I did not have on my bingo sheet, every year a top 10 team finishes the year unranked.
Mm-hmm.
I did not have Penn State as that team.
I mean,
I want to live in a world where nothing surprises me.
Yeah.
But I did not have Penn State on that list.
They could run the rest of the table.
And get ranked again, yeah. But, I mean, you think they're going to beat Ohio State?
It's right by the Ohio State.
Do you think they're going to beat Indiana? At this point? I mean, it's at home, but at this point, do you really... Look, I think the spread for this Oregon-Indiana game, which we'll spend a lot of this week talking about, that's the big game coming up, is egregious. I think it's a little high and maybe not giving Indiana the right respect. Yeah. I think Russ said it best when we were doing show prep. He was like, I think that's giving Autzen a ton of credit, which they might deserve, and I don't want to bag on that. But I think that line's a little rough for me to look at from a first glance, and we'll get into more of that all week. But Penn State, with how this is going down, just looks so egregious to the point that they're not beating Ohio State. And Indiana at home, look, even if that spread is correct in the Indiana-Oregon game, there is no way to me that I believe Indiana has a better chance right now to go into Penn State and win than Oregon did. And we both picked Oregon to win that game.
Yeah.
That's where we sit right now. The program's not dead, but this season is lost. It is gone.
Yeah.
And I know we talk about two lost teams are going to get in the playoff, but
if they ran the table, they're fine.
If they run the table, they're fine because they will have beaten Ohio State, they will have beaten Indiana, but two losses might not get you into the Big Ten title game.
It might not get you in the title game, it'll get you in the playoff.
But it'll get you in the playoff.
No.
But we keep saying that.
Notre Dame lost to freaking Northern Illinois, man.
I know, but we keep saying a two-loss team can get in. Eventually, we're going to have too many two-loss teams.
Yeah.
And this
But if you beat Ohio State and Indiana.
But this loss, and then, fair. But if there's a Notre Dame team, if Notre Dame and Penn State finish the year both with two losses, I might put in Notre Dame over Penn State.
I mean,
because this loss to UCLA,
that would happen.
But this loss to UCLA is so egregious. And it's not that I would put Notre Dame in because they're the brand. That I know that's what you're kind of leaning towards. That's what the media would do because of the brand of Notre Dame. But I would honestly, I like them better right now than Penn State because they didn't lose. They didn't give up 42 points to what I thought was one of the worst Power 4 teams in the nation.
I mean, of the Power 4, it 100%
It's like them and Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And that team is in shambles right now. You just fired the greatest coach in your program's history.
And there's a note here to take from this, too, is that Deshaun Foster was a god-awful coach.
God-awful.
I mean,
that just shows you.
Yeah, and look, you're going to get, number one, the coach bounce. You're going to get a little bit of
Talk
juice.
About it in Premier League all the time. Yeah.
It happens pretty much everywhere. And I think that definitely played a part in UCLA coming out and dropping 27 on them in the first half. And then it got scary hours. But Nico went out there and just ran all over them.
Nico was Nico. Why the hype was there on him.
300 yards, 5 touchdowns.
This team is littered with so much talent that there are moments in which you overlook a squad, especially coming off a rough loss and flying all the way across the country. And I get that. Penn State, USC last year. That was a weird game.
Yeah.
Penn State flies all the way across the nation. I think they were better than USC, but that score in that game was
USC
not
was winning
indicative.
until Tyler Warren decided, I'm going to be the best player on this field and do insane things over and over and over
Exactly.
again.
So sometimes that weird stuff happens, but Penn State, had better talent than USC last year, and they prevailed and won that game. That's how
every team has one of those.
That's how I figured this game would be, even at halftime at 27-10, whatever it was. And it never happened.
Well,
how does that defense play that good against Oregon? At home, in the lights, that good against Oregon, and put up that against UCLA.
Oregon fans are not going to like this. Your win does not look nearly as good right now, and it hurts you.
It's huge, dude.
It hurts you.
I don't like to play the
Oregon just went out and beat them twice.
I don't like the transitive property thing,
but
it kills your it kills your win.
Yeah.
It really does.
I mean,
and we'll get to Miami tomorrow, but Miami jumps you in it. That's a no-brainer. That's not a bash on Oregon. That's a no-brainer because now the Penn State loss looks, man. And it was that close? You went to double overtime with that team?
And UCLA, this is the thing out of this game that is just mind-blowing. UCLA ran the ball 52 times. The only teams in the country that do that have American flags on their jerseys. It's Army, Navy, and Air Force. That is it.
Nico had 130 yards on the ground.
That's what I mean. Like, they ran 52 for 280. So not only did they run the ball 52 times, they averaged 5.5 yards a carry. That is a soul-snatching defeat. And this is a Penn State defense that's supposed to be very good.
Yeah, I want to back this up real quick, though. Back to the Oregon point, I am not playing transitive property. I'm not. I think...
I'm not, but that's what's going to happen.
I think that defense at Penn State is really, really good. And they brought their everything against Oregon. And that was a top 5 matchup as it should have been. Mm-hmm. And I give Penn State a ton of credit in that game. They are one of the best teams in the nation. But you cannot go into the Rose Bowl and put up a performance like that.
Nope.
Even if you lose, you can't lose the way they lost. And no, you can't even do that. You cannot lose to UCLA. You can't. I don't care if you're flying across the country. I don't care if there's a new coach bounce. I don't care about any of that. You cannot do that. 503-864-6326 is the fan text line. Is there any way that Penn State loses to Ohio State and Franklin keeps his job? I think 3 losses making fire him close. 4 losses is almost a guarantee. I think he'll escape the Ohio State loss. But at the end of the season, they're going to have a real conversation. If they lose to Indiana as well, I don't know if he survives the Indiana.
Which is insane when you think about it.
Yeah, if he loses to Indiana,
I don't know
if he
survives that. They went to the college football playoff
last
year and won 2 games.
They were in Final Four.
Like, you can say, well, the path, I don't care.
Yeah. You still won the games.
And here's the thing, man. How many teams around the country have a better coach than James Franklin?
Not many.
If you're doing that, you better... Number 1, have a guy in mind, and it's a done deal. And number 2, that guy better deliver real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. And I'm not you can't make a move because you're scared. You just better have a dude. Because you can be critical of Franklin, and you rightfully should, but the bar is pretty damn high.
It is.
It's pretty damn high.
It is. Franklin's put Penn State back where it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Back where it was before I was born. In the 40 years Joe Pa was there, Franklin has put them back there. But Joe Pa won games.
The Kerry Collins, Kajana Carter, all the great Penn State teams when
LeVar Arrington.
Like those teams,
I mean, and even the current stuff, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Like, those were good teams. Mm-hmm. And Franklin has put them back on the map. But eventually you start asking yourself that question. LSU's going to deal with this until they win another natty post-Orgeron. And Orgeron, I would argue I don't want to say they got lucky, but they were in the right place, right time with one of the most talented rosters. But LSU post-Saban and Les Miles is looking real tough. Like, when do we say no? When is this enough? Everyone deals with it. I think a lot of people are talking about Kiffin's going to be at Ole Miss forever because they love him there. No, he won't. Bo Pelini got fired for winning 9 games every year at Nebraska. Every year, and he got fired.
And he had, 2 10-win seasons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, every year he was good. And they weren't having it because eventually these programs, whether they have real... delusions or...
Well, that's the thing, is they had the delusions of grandeur.
Real expectations. Yeah. Eventually, you ask yourself, we're never getting there, and that creates a problem. And Franklin, the clock is on, brother. The clock is on.
Which is insane.
You are now fighting for your job.
You shouldn't be.
You shouldn't, but you are. We can argue whether you should or shouldn't be, but he is. The national narrative is screaming about James Franklin right now. It's the number one story in my book.
I disagree with Dirt as far as like who's having a worse year, but I get that loss to UCLA is god awful.
It's really bad. I think Wazoo beats UCLA.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you
and we're going to get smoked by Ole Miss this weekend.
I mean, can you imagine losing to a team like App State?
That's rough.
Oh, wait.
I don't have that.
That happened, and nobody got fired. But like the App State Michigan game, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't cost somebody a job immediately. It's like it wasn't great. Eventually, it did. But you just kind of look at. You can't take Notre Dame. Is Marcus Freeman a bad coach because he face planted against Northern Illinois?
No.
Like,
no.
If you are continually in the top 10, top 15, and your shortcoming is that you're not winning titles, you better be real careful.
But I don't think
because that's just like Nebraska getting rid of Pelini, but at a higher level.
Sure. And on the text line, James Franklin's the Mark Richt at Georgia. That's a fair point.
That's a really good point.
It's not natties. It's big games, though.
Yeah, no, I 100% get it.
There's only 2 guys in college football that have natties. There's only 2 guys right now. Oh, 3. Sorry, 3. Ryan Day.
Yeah.
There's only 3 guys in college football that have
one
natties
of those,
right now.
Didn't Kirby win like 4 games his first year? Didn't he? Wasn't his first year bad?
Well, and if Ryan Day doesn't win last year, we're having the same conversation about Ryan Day. Look, everybody has national title aspirations if you're one of the top programs in college football. However, not winning a natty, like let's take Oregon, for example. If Oregon doesn't win a natty this year or next year and misses out last year despite being undefeated, the narrative on Lanning is not, well, he hasn't won a natty because he's won big games. The narrative for Franklin is not that he hasn't won natties. It's that he can't win big games to get there.
Yeah.
So you are getting into the playoff. You are in the top 10 in these conversations because you beat who you're supposed to be. That course eventually runs real dry.
Kirby was 8-5 in his first year at Georgia, and a lot of folks were panicking in 2016. It was like, wait, what? What do you mean? How? Now he ended up obviously turning it around. But that did not go well for him. And so now Kirby is the outlier here, certainly he had the one rough year and then they figured it out from there. But I'm trying to, where is that freaking schedule? There we go. Because there was a game on here that was really bad and I'm trying to remember what it was. They got pasted by Ole Miss when they were the 12th ranked team in the country, 45-14. Yeesh. Then they lost to Vandy, and then there was one other one on there. They lost to Georgia Tech. And this is coming off of Richt, who was really, really good for a very long time. Now, but Kirby, it worked out for them in the long run.
Totally, and Kirby got the benefit of the doubt in the first year. It's really hard to fire a coach in college football after 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, like, things got to be...
I know.
Like, Mike Norvell didn't get fired last year.
But I'm saying, like...
And I think he got a lot of benefit because he was a Saban guy, and it's like, let's try to replicate what they're doing at Bama.
But you don't know what that path is going to be. So
very true.
It's like...
I mean, Lanning's first year wasn't great.
Yeah, but it's what I always told Blazers fans when it was very clear that they were going to be tanking. I always said, you're not built for this. Because in order to, like... You have to Shawshank it. You have to be willing to crawl through the mile of crap.
You do.
To find the light on the outside. And sometimes people get halfway and turn back around because like, but also sometimes... That pipe's got a wall at the end, and there is no shining light.
And I think that's where we sit with Penn State.
There's a cap at the end, and you can't get out.
But is it a Penn State thing? Is it a landscape thing, or is it a Franklin thing? Because I think for a while there you could say it's a landscape thing, and now we're out of excuses. We're out of reasons. Dude, you have a top 10 defense in college football. You're putting guys into the league
regularly.
You got more guys going to the league this year, and you're dropping 40? Giving up 40 to UCLA? One of the worst financially situated programs in all of college football?
Yeesh. Hard pass.